She walked out of the snow and changed the fate of a lonely rancher. Snow drifted across the open plains in thick, silent waves, blurring the horizon until land and sky became one pale gray curtain. The wind moved low and sharp, cutting across the emptiness with no mercy, carrying the kind of cold that seeped into bone and memory alike. Winter wasn't approaching anymore. Winter had already claimed the land. A lone figure moved through the snowfall. No horse followed her. No wagon tracks marked her path. No shelter waited behind her. Just a woman walking forward, step by steady step. Her coat was thin and worn smooth by years of use. The fabric pulled tight against her frame. The heels of her boots were cracked and uneven, threatening to give up with every stride. Yet she did not slow. She climbed the final ridge toward a weather-beaten ranch house, standing alone against the Montana-like highlands of North Hollow Plains. From the doorway, Ethan Cole, owner of the Iron Creek Ranch, watched her approach. One hand rested against the doorframe. The other hung still at his side. Most folks turned back when the sky looked like this. She didn't. She never paused, never staggered, never looked back. When she reached the porch, she lifted her hand and knocked. 3 times. Even. Firm. Certain. Like someone who had already decided this would be the last door she ever knocked on. Ethan opened the door. She was younger than he expected, late 20s, perhaps a little more. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, as though looseness wasn't a luxury she allowed herself. Snow clung to her eyelashes. Her cheeks were hollowed, whether by hunger or worry, he couldn't tell. But her eyes, they were steady, not afraid, just tired in a way he recognized too well. The look of someone who had exhausted every option, except endurance. "I'm looking for work," she said. No greeting, no apology, no explanation for the storm. Ethan studied her quietly. "What kind of work?" he asked. "Any honest work you'll offer," she replied. "I can cook, clean, sew. I learn fast." He looked down at her hands. Not soft, not broken. Hands that had labored, but not ranch hands. "Why here?" he asked. She met his gaze without flinching. "Because you're far enough from town that you might need help more than rumors." That nearly made him smile. Nearly. His housekeeper had left weeks ago, claiming the silence was louder than noise. Winter was tightening its grip, and the ranch demanded constant attention. Still, a woman arriving alone at dusk was trouble waiting to happen, but the snow was falling heavier now, swallowing the land whole. "You'll earn more than wages here," Ethan said slowly. "Work starts before daylight. Days don't end early. This land doesn't tolerate weakness. I don't give charity." She lifted her chin slightly. "I don't take charity," she said. "Just fair work for fair pay." He nodded once. "Can you manage livestock?" "I can learn what I don't know," she replied. "And I don't break easily." That answer settled something inside him. "The bunk cabin's behind the house," he said. "Stove works. Blankets are clean. We'll talk terms in the morning." She nodded. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," he said. "You may regret this by sunrise." He led her to the small outbuilding. 1 room, 1 window, 1 stove. She stepped inside without complaint, placed her small pack on the cot, and turned. "I'm Ethan Cole," he said. "Lena Harper," she replied, then added quietly, "Widowed." He didn't ask more. Some losses explained themselves. Inside the main house, Ethan lit the oil lamp and stared at the empty kitchen table set for one. He wondered what she was running from. He wondered if he had just made a mistake, and he wondered why her eyes looked so much like his. Outside, the snowfall thickened, erasing her tracks, as if the land itself had decided to keep her secret. 3 days later, before dawn broke the sky, Ethan pushed open the barn doors and stopped short. Lena stood in the yard, breath clouding white in the dark, struggling with leather straps near one of the horses. She hadn't been told when to begin. Only that work started at dawn. Most people would have slept until light. She hadn't. "That's a bridle," Ethan said after watching her struggle. "Horses don't need it for stall work." She turned, startled but not embarrassed. "Then I'll use the halter," she said. He pointed toward the feed bin. 2 scoops per animal, break ice on the water troughs. She nodded and went to work. By midday, the stalls were clean, water hauled, a broken fence mended with wire and sheer determination. Her hands were wrapped in torn cloth, blood staining through. "That's enough," Ethan called. "There's more fencing." "I said enough." She didn't argue. That night, Ethan left a plate of stew on the kitchen table for her and ate alone in the other room. The line was clear. Employer and hired help. That was how it had to be. The wolves near midnight, the chickens screamed. Ethan grabbed his rifle and ran outside. He stopped cold. Lena stood near the hen house in her nightdress and coat, lantern light painting her in fire and shadow. A rifle was braced against her shoulder. 3 wolves circled beyond the fence, eyes glowing. She fired once, into the air. The wolves retreated but didn't leave. Ethan moved beside her, lit a torch, and hurled it. She fired again. Together they drove the pack back into the hills. When silence returned, they stood side by side, breath rising like smoke. "You know how to shoot," Ethan said. "My father taught me," she replied. "Said a woman alone needs to know how to stand." She was shaking, but she hadn't run. "Get some rest," Ethan said. "They won't return tonight." She nodded and walked back toward the bunk cabin, rifle still in hand. Ethan listened to the distant howls and thought, maybe he hadn't made a mistake after all. The town turns 2 days later. Ethan rode into Red Willow Crossing for supplies. The looks started immediately. "Heard you hired a woman," the shopkeeper said carefully. "Needed help," Ethan replied. Outside, banker Silas Ward blocked his path. "She that kind of woman?" Ward asked. Ethan's jaw tightened. "She's the kind that works harder than most men." "Just friendly advice," Ward smiled. "Reputation matters." Ethan rode home beneath an iron-gray sky. At the ranch, he handed Lena a new winter coat. "You'll need this. I can't repay you. Didn't ask you to." She held the coat like something sacred. That night, wrapped in warmth, Lena slept without fear for the first time in months. Winter deepens, weeks passed. Cold settled in. Lena learned faster than she should have for someone new to ranch life. Ethan showed her how to rope, how to read animals, how to move steady instead of fast. She failed often. She never quit. One evening, she hummed softly while working by lantern light. "A song my mother used to sing," she said. "Said it helped when life felt heavier than you." The sound stayed with him long after the lantern went dark. The blizzard. The storm came 3 days after Christmas. Whiteout conditions, wind like fists. The cattle were stranded. "We're going," Ethan said. "You're not going alone," Lena replied. On the return, the ground collapsed. Lena vanished into freezing water. Ethan hauled her out, dragged her to a line shack, stripped wet clothes, wrapped her in blankets, and finally, himself. Body heat was the only answer left. "I can't lose someone again," he whispered. "You won't," she said, gripping his hand. Nothing improper happened, but everything changed. Judgment. The town twisted the story. Silas Ward gave Ethan an ultimatum. Send her away, or lose everything. Ethan told Lena she should leave. The hurt in her eyes cut deeper than anger. She packed. She left. And Ethan realized too late. Fear had cost him the one thing worth keeping. The choice. Ethan walked into the church like a man stepping toward judgment. He spoke the truth. About grief, about cruelty, about courage. He chose her publicly. Then he rode to town. "I choose you," he said, "every day." She believed him. The end and the beginning, spring came. Snow melted, land healed. They worked side by side. They married beneath open sky. No witnesses but the land itself. And for the first time, the ranch felt like home. If this story touched your heart, like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, subscribe for more powerful, emotional, cinematic stories of love, survival, and redemption. New stories every day. Stay with us.